What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Another free-for-all for your enjoyment. We got 5 players here on BGH, and these players are players that we don't see every day. Some of them we do see very often, though, and so we will introduce them as per usual. Starting at 12 o'clock, we have Toyota Miguel. He is our teal Terran. Next to him is the red Zerg of Kasuga in the top right. And then we go down a stretch to find Yeet, the Periwinkle Terran, in the bottom right. On the bottom left, we have Raenarill, the Dark Sapphire Terran. And at 9 o'clock, dead center on the left, we've got Mr. 420 Quickscops. I think he's... Oh, honestly, I don't really know what color this is. Is this beaver? No, it's silver pink. I never, in 100 years, would have guessed that one. Sorry about that. But hey, we do have a stockade coming for multiple Terran players here, actually. A lot of Terran players, right? Double stockade for Raenarill. Double stockade for Yeet as well. And then, yes, don't worry, I got you there. I was able to record it. Hell yeah. And of course, Kasuga, the sole representative of a race other than Terran, he is going to be playing as Zerg, off-racing as Zerg. Kasuga and Toyota Miguel have both signed up for the tribunal stage of Acropolis number 3. Very exciting stuff. I don't know that Yeet, Raenarill, and Mr. 420 would be particularly interested in that. I know Raenarill plays a decent amount, but he doesn't usually like 1v1s. When we get to team tournaments, I'm sure he'll be down. The rest of them, they play rather infrequently. I guess Yeet plays a little bit more than Quickscops, but usually the AI games, right? So thinking about that, interesting stuff here. Toyota going for a fast expansion with a treasury to the top left main. At the very least, he will go ahead and scout out Kasuga as well with his Stimmed Maverick. He's looking for a little bit of damage here. Obviously, no combat units have been made, but his micro needs to be a little bit better. Good burrow from Kasuga. Makes it a bit harder. There's only 5 HP left on that Maverick, so he cannot stim. And Toyota did luck out a little bit with the spawn, because this is BGH, of course, and so you're going to see this little area taken care of for him. 5-player free-for-all. We'll see what else ends up happening. Fast expansion for Yeet relative to the rest of the homies. Got a very low unit count as well, worth pointing out there. Worker count has been pretty even for everybody. I remember Yeet struggling with that back, once upon a time. So he's being a little bit on the greedier side, and he definitely needs to change up his base layout at some point so his Mason doesn't get stuck wrapping around the stockade like that. But yeah, Toyota just went 1 stockade expand into an anchor with a Cestus. He's going to try to sort of run the gambit. His gamble here is that nobody's going to try to drop him or do any early air shenanigans. And he's right next to a Zerg player, so the air usually comes in later on. It's very rarely a rush job. Although, with the geysers and the ridges that you have, with the economy you have in BGH, it's actually something that's a little bit more doable. He has not scouted his neighbor down in the bottom left, although Quickscops will do that scouting for him. Nuh. Lest you forget, Toyota is a Zoomer. Actually, when does Gen Alpha start? I don't think Toyota's young enough to be that, but... Vornath Pond on the way for Kasuga, so maybe we could see some fast air units out of him after all. Although Nathracors are probably the least threatening unit that you can grab here. Feels like the Flying Zergling, as they're affectionately called, they do end up going down pretty easy. But as Orcish Shroud, on the other hand, that gives you Gorgs. Gorgor is obviously a pretty powerful unit, very tanky. They did get a little bit of a cut to their DPS recently, but their durability remains unchallenged. Triple stockade and a sieve for Yeet. I will say Yeet's actually leading the charge almost. He's only got less workers than Toyota, and even then it's not by much. So much improved from the last time I saw him. Could be using his natural a little bit more aggressively there, but on the other side, Quickscops adding a lot of production here. His stockade is actually kind of part of a wall with a Cestus. It's hard to call this a wall, but it's a blockade. It's an obstacle for A moving through. Same for Toyota, although that choke is obviously easier to make a little bit harder to move through. It's going to be 2 stockade adds, as well as a Fulcrum and a Star Pad. Really going for everything here is Toyota. His Talus is on location at this quarry. Going to give him a lot of extra Vespene. I could foresee a fast tech, but Raenarill is actually the player to tech up further, not spending any of that money on... early tech like Fulcrum Stockades add-ons or anything like the Star Pad or anything. Not even a Cestus, right? No, I say that. There was a Cestus. That's here. And so, looking at it like that, he's actually got a very mineral-heavy composition, but he doesn't expand. So he can still float the money that he needs to actually tech up. And then, of course, all the Vespene that he's been collecting is good to go. Cestus over here is probably going to do a little bit of a watchdog farm. You got to watch out for that as well. Definitely a good option. And Toyota actually going to be doing the dropping. Maybe he wants to put his opponent on notice. I still don't think he's actually scouted out the positioning of Quickscops, who is queuing like a mad lad. Infinity Mavericks everywhere. We have Cyprians coming up for Toyota. Maybe he's going to try to drop Kasuga. I mean, if I'm in this lobby, I'm thinking Kasuga is the scariest threat here, followed by Raenarill, just in terms of skill level. In these free-for-alls, I actually just match the player ID order to the ID order you see up here in the top. I feel like it's probably less confusing that way. But if I had to order it by skill, it would probably be like Toyota would be third here. Oh no, Kasuga is actually preempted that with a whole bunch of sprays. He's still going to end up taking some damage. We'll come back to that skill ranking in a moment here, as this is a lot of value added from the bio there. Now, Quickscops here is stimming in and caught himself slipping. He was not on attack move, so Yeet will kind of naturally parry that. Working out for him so far. Hurakan's still loose in here. So many dead workers. Finally, Toyota's forces will be brought down. That definitely knocks Kasuga down a peg or two. He is definitely going to be struggling with that. The redrop could be good, especially now that the lay of the land is known by Toyota. And like I said, you know, I'd say Kasuga is the scariest player if left alone. I guess since he's off racing, Raenarill might take the cake. And now dropping closer to the static defense versus ground targets is not really going to work out too well. He has no damage here. Absolutely cannot even pick that Larvosk. So, yeah, Cyprians are good versus stacks of enemy infantry and such. You're going to see that in action right here as Quickscops tests another player, only for the Cestus to block so much damage. And the Cyprians just absolutely shellacking the Mavericks. Oh, God! What a massacre. And it's not even the game mode. Siege tank. Yep, Phalanx sieged up. That's... Man. I mean, I hope you guys like red. That's the real color here. Silver pink, I think it became a lot more red. Absolutely disastrous scenes. Disastrous scenes. Raenarill already building up that advanced mech units, and he's actually using Cyprians to heckle this weirdly placed star pad from Quickscops, who does need to lift that off if he wants another look at the air. Looks like he's just going to let it die, which is unfortunate. Tier 2 has been completed by Kasuga, going straight for some additional spread there. I think it's wise to not really over-prioritize expanding in this kind of situation. If you're already under the pump for one reason or another, you can stick it out on, you know, going for tech onto multiple bases. This was really painful. Is he rallying up there? What is going on? Well, he's about to be heckled with a drop. Double drop, actually. And this includes a Phalanx. Plenty of Mavericks here as well. They're going to stim and do a lot of damage. Now, the only thing that I'm really worried about as far as that's concerned is the Phalanx doing splash damage. Ooh, deploying the Savant. Yeet has some ideas here. With low numbers, the Savants can actually turn the tide in favor of Yeet's bio. Raenarill has to be on notice. The workers have been evacuated from the main base, but they have not been cleared up. So many of those units were wasted by Quickscops earlier, and now look, his base is awful in terms of its SimCity. He cannot actually get out of there. He basically auras Toyota away from it. And the Cataphract adding even more pain to his natural. He's basically being double teamed. Yeah, Toyota just kind of cycling back. Man. Okay, I think we know who's going to end up capitulating first here. Quickscop's definitely struggling. If you can get a couple of those Savants onto their very important deployed mode, we can start to talk about a very different push. Oh, Atlas at the second base. I see Toyota. It doesn't look like Yeet's going to finish the job onto Raenarill, or really try to force the issue, I should say. Quickscops is going to stay alive as well. Tier 2 completes for Yeet, but look, up here in the top right, we still have that Tier 2, and it is coming to a pass where we are going to get that Calcure Lake up. Some static defenses have been upgraded. That's the only tech... Oh, no, I still alive. The Mutath Spire is coming up online. We'll probably see some Mutalisks. I really feel like if you hit Tier 2 on BGH, you want Mutas. You can raid workers very well with them. I don't think this is going to work out too well for Quickscops, man. He really needs a Fulcrum and put some Phalanx back there to sort of use the range against his opponent, use that little ravine. It's BGH. Our players know what they're signing up for. Big stack of Yeet's bio kind of keeping Raenarill contained here. He's got a lot of money in the bank and not really saturating his main base just yet. On BGH, I know Hit 'em Up will play these weekend wars. He'll just build like 3 or 4 macro nexuses, macro ministries, and just kind of work her up as a result. And Gosvaleth descending to the unoccupied main at the, I want to call it the 4 o'clock position there. Usually you say 3 o'clock for that base, but I think in reality it's 4. Atlas completes for Toyota. We'll see what he wants to do for Tier 2. Quickscops really does not have a great economy right now. He is struggling. A couple Trojans get shooed away. Another base being taken here by Toyota Miguel, who currently seems to lead economically. Yeet's now going to be throwing down against Raenarill, and it's not a great interaction because obviously all of these cataphracts are on the back. But still, the Durandal Hurakan combo definitely working wonders here. The Savants were not deployed, and so it does look like Yeet's forces will end up being pushed back. His Shaman arrives much too late to provide too much sustain, and that's with fighting without the cataphracts. However, Raenarill wasn't super cost efficient as a result. He could have crushed that army, forced to retreat much sooner. But now he is definitely in a position to continue heckling Quickscops, who has built up an army of sorts, but I guess after trading so poorly into Yeet's army, these cataphracts might end up getting overwhelmed. Assessus was attempted to be made on the front line. Yeah, never mind. There's almost no hope as the Ancials end up getting collapsed up on. Not so good. Not so good at all. Especially with the Shaman deploying behind this, the cataphracts are never going to go down. He's got no support units for them besides that Shaman. And, of course, the Ancials. But Quickscops' base... Oh, my God. What an affront, honestly. Triple drop onto Yeet's Natural after losing a lot of his military units. He needs to cycle those workers out of there. Not that there were that many over here to begin with. Definitely missed opportunities. Floating 4K minerals. Could be doing a lot better in that front. Can't lift up the... Oh, no, Toyota! You can't lift those up because you deployed them. Brain fart there is going to get wiped. No more artillery, and one of his Trojans goes down as well. So not the best hopscotch, and a couple of cataphracts lying over here might end up being able to respond almost immediately. There shouldn't be too many losses, but we'll check in with that in a moment, as Kasuga has been really heavily saturating this extra main that he's secured from his neighbor. It does feel like as Raenarill's jaunting with Quickscops for control over that area, Toyota did an outsized impact with that Trojan. Definitely could be saturating his bases a little bit more. You can see him putting down his own macro ministry. Some starports coming online, rotaries. I would not be surprised to see sundogs. I think versus cataphracts, you can go salamander if you have something else engaging on top of them. Try to ruin their armor. But at that point, it might be better to just go for Durandals. Maybe even Strigas. Sirens definitely work versus Katas. I feel like that's like a really, really good composition. You just start pulling them towards you, and you can take care of them piecemeal. As of right now, Quickscops really doesn't have anything that he can do with them. He's not even stemming his Mavericks. They're just kind of getting gunned down. Uh-oh, he says, as he's facing elimination. Tier 3 on the way for Kasuga, so in about 2 minutes' time, I'm sure we'll be seeing the finishing up of some Tier 3 tech nodes. Finally capping gas in the main is Toyota. Looks like he's already done so in the main at top left. The lift comes out. I guess he cycled his... I don't know what happened to his ministry over here. That he was floating it in one direction and then somewhere else. Maybe I just missed Toyota killing it earlier. Yeet's been very slow to restock his workers. He's got no Vespene. He's barely harvesting from the gas nodes in his main. It does feel like he's... feels like he's struggling to figure things out here. He's going to go for some captaincies. The stockades are just going to get gunned down by all these ministries. There's almost no hope there. Maybe he can land it and start making masons on the location, but I think it's going to start burning. Yep, it sure is. Well, I think Toyota just saw it as well, so that's a wrap. Raenarill's finishing off the job, and also his idle cataphracts are going to clear that up. Going to make a ministry on location. What a silly situation. Well, that shows you. You know, don't build a bunch of stuff here blocking your alleyway. There's so much build space in BGH. You can absolutely expand your production out over here. And I think a lot of pain and suffering would have been alleviated for Quickscops. He seems like he is likely to be eliminated first. He does have a bank, doesn't he? Oh, no, actually, he doesn't really. We'll see how long Toyota wishes to tolerate that as third base being taken by Kasuga. Remember, he is taking tech advantage. Absolutely could end up being the titan of the lobby. Raenarill investing a lot into Tier 2. Has okay saturation over here, but no gas cap in the anywhere for any geyser caps, actually. Only the sieves. So if he wants to invest into that late game with 6k minerals, I guess he's just going to wait for his gas, throw down the Daedala, and then maybe go for reservoirs after the fact, or just wait for wellbores. That's another option. They do require tier 3. Maybe at that point you do feel like you just should. But it does mean that he'll have a lot less Vespene to kind of throw around. Kasuga is going to get pressured here. Look at this. Yeet trying to exit. He's definitely choked up, though, and his Durandals aren't able to get to the front lines. This might still be a point of collapse here, as Raenarill is killed in Excisant mid-make for Kasuga. Does feel like maybe we're going to see some kind of counterpunch. There's so many Lyrilisks out here that if combined with Yeet's army, they both hit him at the same time. That could end up being a pretty good move. This is what I was talking about earlier. The Savants just basically shut down the Katas if they're in range. They're not always in range, are they? Salamanders, Trojans, a Seraph. Do we have an Anvil? Does not look like we have an Anvil. No nuking, a possibility there. The Hatrosk will go down under the combined might of all of those Cataphracts. You can see Kasuga kind of luring him in, saying, okay, I'm going to be over here. You can come out that way. We'll see what happens. Tier 3 on the way with the Daedala. Still no gas caps, of course, as expected. And it looks like Quickscops is just going to see if he can't sneakily go back to his Expo. Here comes the dive from Kasuga. He's getting his tier 3 tech nodes. He's hyper-evolving his gas nodes. Protathalor is not really the greatest choice here versus the front line, and these Lyrilisks are absolutely going to get cleaned up. Salamander's trying to burn up alive all of these Drolets, the damage fields, the Polyoid fields, doing a little bit of damage here. Yeah, this base is basically shellacked. It only had anti-air, no anti-surface defenses. Yeet definitely taking his sweet time to respond as well, so no savior there. Somehow, with an anchor on the way, like, I don't know how Toyota hasn't noticed that. Maybe they ally chatted or something, and he's like, all right, I allow you to live as a vassal state. Reclamation, it's on the way here. Drolets have been stolen. Maybe Raenarill will take some of that for his own usage, but we already have 16 Sovroleths, and you know how bad those can be for anybody facing them. Burrow Drolets in the corner. It's tempting to take the Drolets you've reclaimed and immediately start using them to make stuff, but, well, Anseals are going to fire up there. The Sovroleths are being conditioned. We do have Pythians out here to drop a humongous amount of units onto the front line. Kasuga might get pinched by Toyota before he can even die to Raenarill fully. No Irradiate just yet. The Sovroleths are busy trained on the Pythian instead of helping out versus the armor. Man, they are taking so long to clear that. The Irradiates are going to be golden here. Those poor Sovroleths slowly taking fatal damage. The Sundogs, the Salamanders, they can skirmish versus this amount of Sovroleths. Kasuga only has Protathalors coming out. I don't think this is going to quite be enough, but he is around the Khaz'trith. And remember, that provides a ton of value. No D-Matrixes really went on in the tail end of that fight, but the Pythian survives. And now, with almost no, zero Sovroleths really left over, he could have patrolled this whole area to take the corpses. That would have definitely changed the fight, but tier 3 on the way for Toyota. Raenarill already has his coming online. Nanite assembly starting to work. And it does feel like Kasuga is basically routed. Should see my base in the middle. I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe this one? Middle where? PLZ, says Kasuga. Don't kill. He's reduced to begging. Dishonorable. Oh, I see. Quickscops is trying to ego him. Trying to mind game him. Sovroleths can be pretty good at picking apostles here, and it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. On top of the Khaz'trith, that needs to be focused down post-haste by Raenarill, but it's not happening. Oh, boy. Well, at the same time, Cataphracts are pretty good versus the Sovroleths. They have so much armor. Sovroleths find it difficult to actually break through them, only dealing 4 damage a pop. Yeah, it looks like this is a little bit too much here. As that Khaz'trith finally ends up falling, there goes the Sovs. And that was kind of my main pivot point here, is if Kasuga gets tier 3 and actually uses it, if he doesn't end up just getting shellacked, then absolutely, Raenarill looks like he's going to be the top dog. Oh, wow, okay. I don't know what the hell's going on over there. That's pretty amusing. But GGs are called. The one Lake is not going to be enough to do much of anything. It's going to get killed without even needing a detection. The Spraith might heckle a couple of Ant Seals to death, but doesn't even look like that's happening. That's a wrap there. Kasuga's down to... What's he even got for production? The one Larvos there, keeping him in the game. That'll fall pretty soon. Meanwhile, Toyota has an absurd amount of money. His tier 3 is almost done. He's making Sun Dogs, making Phalanx, making Eidolon. Is he just allowing this to occur? I don't know what's going on over here. Quickscope's slowly banking some money, building a stockade. Three Gazithalors being made from the Larvosk here, but it's going to pop and he's just going to get defeated. Unless he's got another patch somewhere. No. I don't know what's giving him anything at this point. Maybe this is buildings instead of production structures. All right, the Sun Dogs have been dispatched to clean this up. So, no luck there. Oh, he might actually, in his dying breaths, clear the reclaimed Droleth. Oh, no. He only just now noticed. Okay, one of them does burrow. There's still hope for that. You can see how much of a punch Gazithalors pack when executing at max range there. They're so powerful. Oh, no! They revealed one of the Droleths. That's one of the last things Kasuga had. Sun Dogs are going to clear this up. There were Watchdogs being made over there. Doesn't look like they were able to do too much. Still have to be able to see your opponent. Yeah, Quickscops is pretty much dead, and he has been for a while. Yeet, on the other hand, I mean, he's still making stuff. He's really kind of lost in the sauce of making his own army, right? He's got Phalanxes off to the side, so he can siege that guy, whoever that guy is. Been making some advanced infantry. Finally, he's saturated his bases and capped them while we weren't really looking. Could have a lot more workers. You can see Toyota with triple digits. Definitely looks like he's the healthiest player here. And yeah, I mean, the Gezis are not going to be sufficient to clear out all these katas. They're going to get cut down immediately. Kasuga called GG, but now it's really over. Unsmiley face as our red Zerg tastes defeat. Something, yeah, I guess maybe they're, I don't know, maybe they played it in a weird game mode, like scenario or something. I'm not really sure why he's not being defeated, but he's going to have his 2 Droleths. Now it's my turn, says Mr. 420 Quickscops. I don't know what that means exactly, but Raenarill is getting owned over there by the Sun Dogs. Honestly, the Sirens for Yeet working out wonders to pull the army out of sync. His Phalanxes aren't getting super synergized with them, and of course there is this big flank coming in from Raenarill off to the side that he used to kill Kasuga's base. He still has one. He spent all of his money, and he's got 1 Droleth left. He's killing Kasuga. He's killed the reclaimed Droleth. Well, at this point, it does look like Yeet's army has been routed, taken care of. The full surround from all of those cataphracts. I really enjoy the stuff that Mr. 420 Quickscops has been saying. He's been talking a lot of smack about how he's got all these units. I'm super alive, but he's only got Eidolons. Hey, you know what? That might still work out for him. Raenarill did get massacred at that extra base of his. That was his 3rd base. And his army did take a beating from what Yeet had. Problem is, Yeet doesn't really have that much left, right? He definitely needs more Sirens. Toyota says he's still here. He's lifting his stockades across. Kasuga says, I am so dead. That's true. That is true, Kasuga. Oh, look, 1 left for Raenarill. This is the slowest and saddest way to try to rebuild. 1 worker, 0 minerals. Let's see how long it takes him. That is kind of... I guess it's technically true, since the only defenses here are not owned by him, but... 1 Madcap left for Yeet. Just gonna heckle that a little bit before getting gunned down. Okay, so where are we at now? We got Minotaurs out. Obviously, some of that endgame air. Still supplemented a lot by the Tier 2 ground. Iron Foundry is out. Diadem coming up for Yeet. This is big news. If he can keep the cataphracts off of it, if he can maybe have a couple redundancies down here. Remember, he's got so many minerals, but almost no Vespene. And that's partially because he's not mining from his reservoir with full workers, but also partially oh, he's actually not doing it over here either. So he's got... You want 3 workers on gas at this stage of the game, you know, like, especially, you know, basically past the 10-minute mark. I think it's worth it, generally speaking. A good heuristic for you. Wyverns and Salamanders have been made, but this needed to be like triple Diadem to block the katas. And it doesn't look like it's going to be up in time. This Diadem will probably finish. Probably. Yes, it does. It'll get one shot off, and then it'll be... No, it won't even get the shot off. Oh, it does. It barely gets the shot off, but it's not enough to kill a Cataphract, right? So that's heartbreaking for Yeet as he builds an Iron Foundry down here. Tier 3 achieved, but at what cost? It turns out he's about to get wiped off the map. And no wonder Raenarill said this was an epic FFA. Oh, actually, I think Toyota submitted this one, so never mind. I was going to say, yeah, Raenarill's walking around just killing people. He's like, yeah, this is an epic FFA. Well, here comes Toyota. He ignores Kasuga's position, and he's going to add insult to injury for Yeet. Raenarill's going to finish the job for him, of course. And, you know, Quickscops is slowly coming back into the game, I guess. I'll give you a chance. I mean, hey, if you're down to basically being able to do nothing, you might as well type a little bit. GG calls Yeet. That'll be a wrap for him, as he is definitely defeated. This is the ultimate, like, players won't die. Players are dead, but they refuse to leave the game, right? And that's kind of a good tactic to have in FFAs, right? Oh boy. Ooh! Erased! Devastated! Kata Minotaur just annihilates the Sundog Salamander army. Those poor Sundogs. Yeah, that's what happens. Meanwhile, Diadems from Raenarill are clearing 420 out completely. Got Paladins. It's got a couple Magnetars waiting. Now, that doesn't mean that... I love this hyper defended base that Toyota's got with no mineral workers, no gas workers, nothing. He's not harvesting a single thing. Zilch. But he is unloading 6 Phalanx from a Pythian. You love to see it. Well, the Minotaurs have discovered where Kasuga is, so that's a wrap for him once again. I've said that like 5 times so far. He's going to try to evacuate. This is the final warning. It's true, because you got nothing else, dude. Oh, he killed Heracles with a bunch of Masons. That's what you do. He doesn't have enough money to make a hatch. He cannot live. It's over. That's a for real GG there. So Yeet's eliminated. Yo! It's true. No, he said. I don't know what he's knowing about. I think he's trying to cheer for Kasuga. Kasuga's out. Yeah, okay, we're very quickly becoming a tier 3 TVT from both players. We got apothecaries. You know, the base for Toyota looks very slick, very nice. Yeah, I guess they're playing on a weird version of the map that doesn't have the defeat conditions. This is going to be a wipe. This is going to be such a disaster here. There's so much tier 3 for Toyota. He's got Diadems. He's got a Penumbra. He's got a defensive line, the likes of which you've never seen. And now, you've got no Katas left. Just like that, Raenarill bled dry. The Phalanxes deploy in case anything else is to come. Wow, the Eidolons count at this late into the game is kind of surprising, but it is kind of working as well. Seraphs come in for those Irradiates. The Yamatos come out onto that Penumbra. Ooh, okay, it needed a little bit of extra oomph behind it, but it does end up going down. There's another one where that came from. The Diadem shots just cracking off onto these Shamans. Now we're starting to get into the thick of it here. Quickscops is making a quarry. That's all he's reduced to. He does have a decent bank, though, at least as far as minerals go. Refusing to die. Silver Tongues and Sundogs on the way. The Phalanxes are going to unsiege. I would love to see Toyota try to push out and see what he can do, but that does give the onus, gives the opening there for Raenarill to try something. He's got so much money in the bank, though. I mean, say what you want about his money. Look at Toyota's. 33,000 minerals. Perhaps more condemnable 2K gas. Oh, the Phalanxes. Well, he's calling for obs, but that's not going to work. Oh, the Diadems just shattering everything. The Paladin's at least shooting faster because of it. That Anti-Chthon goes down. But it might have been enough of a stall. The Diadem shots have been so heavy. I don't know why Raenarill decided it was a good idea to move in to fight the Diadems after already losing all his Katas to Diadems. He comes in with Kata Paladin. That doesn't beat Diadem, you know? You probably want like Pythian drops and stuff. Or maybe Trojans are fine with D-Matrix or something. I don't know. Nukes are good tactic, for sure. Yeah, the Diadem does do a lot of work. You can see Quickscops trying to stick back into it. Where are the Diadems, anyway? Oh, I see. He's got 4 of them over here. You know, the damage that they have dealt is going to be considerable. Getting pretty close to 10k damage dealt. And those are not going to finish the Yamatos. That was heartbreaking. It does feel like Raenarill, despite all of his bank, hasn't really built that many production facilities, hasn't expanded to the bottom center. Another unoccupied space. Anti-Chthon are in number. They are going to keep the Silver Tongues alive. Sure, they move slower, but that's not the end of the world. And at least Raenarill will finish off Quickscops for realsies this time. There's one Talos trying to creep out, but it's just going to get harangued by those Watchdogs. See ya. I find it really amusing that Raenarill has found forces to attack this position. You know, like, it's funny to me. It's just very amusing. That in the midst of Toyota being such a menace and even pressuring his extra base here, Raenarill's like, yeah, but I want to kill that Australian guy. I'm gonna hunt down that last Watchdog, it looks like. That one just goes down to all of the Paladins and Penumbra and Silver Tongues over here. It's friendly fire onto that Seraph. It'll be revived. Have no fear. D: the last of his base falls. GG calls. Yeet was very sad about that. And now it's all down to whether or not Raenarill can find some counter and drag this out versus Toyota. I don't think the answer is going to be yes. The last of his units over here just going to get routed. The Anti-Chthon still finding a lot of value, soaking up that damage as well. He's making some tier 3 stuff, but I don't know what the bottleneck is right now for Raenarill. He's adding Hadrons. Okay, I think what he needs is he's going Hippogriff here, which is an option, versus the squad that Toyota's assembled, right? We're seeing that endgame mech power. Ugh, even through the Diadem field, the Anti-Chthons can keep reviving and sustaining through. Oh my god, the Paladin Penumbra combo. Oh, and a Radiate as well. Oh, that Seraph is no longer a possibility there. A full-blown casualty. And, you know, with the Diadem shells happening, there is an attritional base to this. You can see the Paladins starting to fall back as they are too wounded. The Shamans need to take matters into their own hands. Some Silver Tongues left over, just going to get left behind. Luckily, that Shaman does come on in, but... yeah, so he's going to need some time to sustain his army, right? The Paladin count is pretty good. The Diadems, moving forward, we even had Cestus's added up. I love this one quarry burning. Not quite burning down. It seems Toyota... Oh, I thought maybe he was going to push in here just to kill that one quarry out of spite. Like, oh yeah, you ally vision me, I kill you. With the Diadem so close, it does feel like this is going to be a little bit too much. They're just out of range of each other. The Sundogs lurk and wait. The tier 2 air infrastructure was never made by Raenarill, so he isn't really carrying it over now. He's adding a commandment, trying his best to see what he can do. One of his Diadems tries to shoot out the leftovers of Kasuga. Or maybe those were Raenarill Zoryus, actually. I think that might have been what it was. Raenarill did not make Reclaimed Zerg. He absolutely could have multi-raced here. The Facade for cloaking. Deadly. A deadly option. And here it goes. A dozen Sundogs trying to come in. They could flank down that Minotaur. The Hippogriff is out as well. Doesn't do great damage. Oh, look at that. He's going after the Hadron. That's not a bad target, honestly. He kills that. He's going to delay further Hippogriffs from being made. Kills the Anvil before it can finish up as well. Now, the Sundogs are going to die to the Watchdogs. That's the dog counter there. He kills the workers that were making nanite assemblies. That's just going to slow it down. Not really that the end of the world there. And he loses pretty much every Sundog. Only one left. Was it worth it? I think he could have gone after the Diadem and just cracked this open completely. But he did not trust in himself. You probably lose every single Sundog you have if you come in swooping in for that Diadem, especially with Penumbra out on the field, but I still think it's probably worth it. Now, he does do the Hadron, so getting rid of that Hadron is pretty big. These nanites have not resumed. The method to the madness here is that Hippogriffs are really unmatched when it comes to siege and ground positions. Now we've got nanite assemblies coming for Toyota. He'll probably go for some Magnetars, or maybe he'll go for some Hippos of his own. Hippogriffs versus air, it's not really that great, right? It's good single target damage, actually. 6 times 10. It's not terrible versus, like, other capital craft, but versus stacks, that's going to be a weakness. Diadem shells on both sides. Definitely assisting. Definitely assisting, because Toyota is just going to continue his push. Don't know why he doesn't A-move. Yeah, that does happen, doesn't it? Well, at least he spotted where the Sentinel is with his Trojan. He can use that to spot for his items. He enjoys to end you. Yeah, it's true. It's definitely true. Raenarill cannot believe this. How am I still alive? He wonders. He ponders. He still's got a humongous bank of minerals. All right, well, Toyota's decided. Maybe he's right. Maybe I can A-move. Yeah, quick scops. You got it. Diadem shots are sublime right now on both sides, but Raenarill definitely got a lot of value out of that. Even still, it does feel like this is probably why Toyota was a little bit second-guessing his A-move. Yeah, I didn't know I had enough to A-move. And some of that is because the heavy air was not in position as well. The Hippogriffs showing their prowess. Unlikely to be brought down by anything in particular. You can see they're trying their best. And their best is more than good enough. Oh, look at that. The Masons, though. Yeah, that's pretty rough. The Penumbras have enough armor to stop the Hippogriff projectiles, which ends up being a pretty significant move there. I love the offensive stockade float to make the friendly fire from the Paladin and the Penumbra kind of do damage to itself. But with no other diadem on the backup there, and really just the units he can form out of spawn, the Paladins is, yeah, they're way too much. Paladins are quickly becoming a favorite unit in FFAs. And I do like that. I like that quite a bit. And yeah, of course, Toyota's a big fan of the Anticathon. We saw some Tier 3 Terran. When don't we at this point in team games and free-for-alls? Well, I suppose yesterday's upload was one of the games where we didn't see Tier 3, but you know. Yeah, Cockroach Gaming doesn't count? I don't know. I think maybe it does. It is in the spirit of FFA. Technically, whoever leaves is a pretty big move. Yeah, Kasuga had all the way up to Tier 3, and he was definitely... He hates Zerg. He doesn't like it. He can't play it the way that the other Zergs can. But it's still good to practice. Oh, look at that. Little nuclear explosion at the end. Why not? Why not have a little bit of extra push? The Daedala goes down. It's the last dying embers of this game. You know, Toyota says 3 bases at 5 minutes, but this is not a map where that really matters that much, I think. And that looks like it's going to be it. The one floating nanite assembly. Cockroach Gaming doesn't count. What is this? What is this then? The Sundog will catch it. And the captaincy is a wrap. Ah, they want to try again, but house rule of no Tier 3. That's funny. Well, there's one quarry, one nanite assembly. I think it's pretty open and shut. We'll just fast forward through the rest of this. That's a wrap on that. Raenarill is out. I love the irradiate after that. GG says, and the destruction comes out. Okay, all right, we're over. We're over and done. Toyota definitely harvested the most resources, but Raenarill was not that far behind. I want to point that out because I think the money here, the money was there to potentially try to form some kind of counterpunch, but hey, in TVT, a lot of things that matter come down to positioning. And, you know, Raenarill might have had the faster Tier 3, but he did not deploy enough production to really spend down his income, and he did not expand his territory despite no longer being contested. He did a lot of Toyota's dirty work, mopping up all of those, you know, lower ranked players, and then suddenly Toyota just got him, punched his ticket. So we'll see how well Toyota does in Acropolis 3's Tribunal stage. You know, these ranked games, even if you're not guaranteed to get anywhere with them, they can still give you a little bit of a class upgrade. You know, if you're class 4 like Toyota and you want to go for class 3, that's one way to do it. Do well in there, go deep, at least win a series or, you know, take some people close. But that'll do it for me. Tomorrow, more Cosmonarchy. Stay tuned.